Hi YouTubers, it's me, myself and um, Crazy Vintage Caravan Man, and I'm talking today about the um, buying and investing in a vintage caravan and the keys that I've found over my 2 years of experience so far. One is the very important one is ooh, excuse me, I seem to get an itchy nose. Maybe that's my craziness. Um, it's having somewhere to store it. Now I fell foul of this because I I bought a few caravans, absolutely fell in love with some, and got some storage, organised storage, and then about 6 8 months in, I was given notice on the storage because they decided they wanted to sell up, and I had quite a good number of caravans stored there, and all of a sudden I've got a major issue of where do I now put them, and it was very stressful. Now, if you do catch the bug, it's very easy to get a caravan and then want another one and see another one, and then it can get out of hand, which has kind of happened with me. Um, So I would say one of the important keys to think about, because if you're buying a caravan or even getting one given you or whatever, you've got to consider that if you're renting a space to park it, A, you're going to want to work on it. So can you work on it in that space? If you can't work on it in that space, can you keep pulling it out and taking it to wherever you can work on it? And then have you got to take it back? So there's the cost of there's a cost of actually, if you say it's £30 a month to rent an area to park it, and you can't work on it there, then obviously you've got to keep pulling it in and out, so that's not ideal. If you've got to drive and you can park it at home, that is the most ideal, because A, then you can work on it, and B, you're not paying out extra money each month to have it. So that would be my first pointer on um, what to think about. The second one would be to do your research into the caravan you're looking to buy. Um, get out onto the caravan groups and ask questions. Have a look on YouTube, see if you can find anybody that's had one. See if you can find one on YouTube where there's a tour or whatever. Um, Certainly, if you join one of my Facebook groups, I'm more than happy to give people pointers. That's a mouthful. On what to look for. But do your research on the van you're looking at. Find out if you can find out if there's any negative feedback about them, if they were prone for leaking at a certain place, um, or things like that. Then once you've done that, before you actually go ahead and buy it, you need to make sure that you've also done your research on what to look for and how to check and survey a van to make sure that you're not buying something that is maybe going to be £600, £700, and then you get it home and it's absolute scrap. Because a lot of the water ingression is, if it does get in and it's happening over a long period of time, it can break down the wood, so it becomes wet dry, wet dry, wet dry, wet dry, and then eventually it becomes dry rot. And then it literally is brittle, and as soon as you nip it with your fingers, it breaks it, you can just break it up completely. So if that's over a lot of your frame and all your corners, it can seem solid when you first go to it, but by the time you've driven it home and maybe gone down a bumpy road or a bumpy track or whatever, it can literally shake apart. So just be very careful, to look for signs inside of damp, underneath the seat areas, and so on and so forth. have a look for visible signs of damp, wet patches. Try and go when it's just been raining. If it's stood outside and you go and look at it and there's visible wet or black mold or anything like that. Be very, very, very cautious if you haven't got the skills to repair framework, because you can start off with a little corner that you think, oh well, it's not too bad, it's only a corner, but then you're ending up having to literally strip the whole van, and that can end up being a year's worth of work. And if you haven't got the skills, you're then paying somebody to do it. If it is leaking and you can't find the leak and it still keeps leaking, then obviously it's going to deteriorate. There's a million and one things on surveying a caravan. Going outside and pushing the walls, if they move more than 1/4 of an inch, which is about that. If they're moving backwards and forwards, especially under the windows, and if the door's flexing, any movement and flex, if it's not solid and it's flexing, then that indicates that there's probably framework inside that's gone brittle and actually broken or just on its way.